Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.
Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Gorman John Ruggiero, and I am the author of 30 plays for child actors. And I'm very proud to present this very handsome volume. You can see that. You can get it on Amazon and other places. Welcome tonight. And I want to just say again, I left a chat note, but I would like to invite you to ask me questions, make observations, comments, anything, interrupt me while I'm talking anytime, and I will respond. I'm going to present to you a video. If you've been here before this week, you haven't seen this. This is the first time I'm showing this video. It's a 6-minute video that was made in China for one of my productions, and I'm going to show it to you, but before that, I'd like to explain a little bit. Going into China and working with children in the arts is a different experience than working with children in America. Although American children are open and open-minded and always very flexible for the most part and have a lot of freedom of movement and everything, we don't really have the extensive formal programs of dance, theater, acting, music that they do in the Chinese educational system. Now, I'm not touting Marxism, okay? I'm talking about the children and their parents and the arts. So when I went there my first time, and I've gone there for 7 years, 4 to 6 months a year, it's always a vibrant experience because they really do value children learning communication skills, which is what my work is all about. 30 Plays for Child Actors is a way to teach children how to develop a variety of communication skills, which I will discuss after the video, but also in the video, you'll hear some of the information. So let me present this video, and I'm very excited to do this, and I'd like to hear your questions or comments, observations, and we'll come back after the video. So now I'd like to present this video. Enjoy. My name is Gorman John Ruggiero. I'm a theater director, actor, producer, and playwright. I have worked with children for over 35 years developing theater productions for children, with children as the actors. When I came to the school, the English Experimental School, we talked about doing a version of Snow White. And through our discussions, I was really impressed with the teachers and the administration. They were talking about doing something with Chinese culture. So I asked them, well, maybe I can adapt the play with Chinese cultural elements, which we did. 50 children, which is unusual. There's not very many plays out there with 50 characters, but we have Snow White, we have the 8 pandas, we have bumblebees and plum blossoms and all kinds of other characters. And each child has speaking parts, movement, dance, and they sing. The purpose of this camp is to introduce children into the wondrous world of theater, to teach them acting, to teach them to use their imagination, but most importantly, to communicate, teach them how to communicate using physical, emotional, and intellectual content. I've been preparing for this camp for about 3 weeks. When I found out we had 50 students, I knew I had to write a play because there's very few plays out there with 50 characters, and you'll never find any for children with speaking parts. So I wrote this adaptation of Snow White with the intent of making sure every child had speaking role. I wrote the play. I hired some fantastic artists. Rena is our dance director, choreographer. Hem is our musical director. He's also a virtuoso pianist. And we put our heads together and came up with a variety of different ideas to work with the songs and the dances. And I let them design their own work because they're the experts. So we kind of put our heads together and we came up with some really nice, interesting pieces that the children can perform. Each and every single child has improved in levels of confidence, articulation of English, and especially understanding emotional content and how to express it. Yes, everyone.
Hello, my name is Rena. I'm a dance director and a choreographer for the camp. I can see a lot of changes. They really, first day they were very shy, and day by day they really start to show them personality, confidence with us. It's really cute that kids can change in so fast time.
I'm William Brico from Manila, Philippines. I'm happy to join this company to make this winter camp, so I can teach them the nursery rhyme as well, alphabets, colors and shapes, and etc. for the kids. Ever since the camp started, I saw a lot of them there doing well.
First of all, children, listen to me. Come to me. That's what I would like to say. I would also like to say Anjing and Ting Ma. But most importantly, I would like to say you did all your work. You made an agreement with me that you would work hard and have a great show, and you kept your agreement. And I want to thank you for keeping that agreement. Now, today, during this performance, just go and have fun. You did all the work. Remember your positions and go have fun.
Be themselves, relax, don't be shy, and don't think that they can do it, because I don't believe that I can do it. It's just I don't want to do it. So they must be relaxed, and everything will be okay.
Before you go out, just keep practicing, whatever they want.
Okay, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. And the things I want to talk about is my work with children. Over the last 35 to 40 years has always involved teaching children how to communicate, not be a movie star. Yes, there's some great talent that will go on into the field. Very few will, but they can use the skills that they learned from me in the form of communication skills in their personal and professional lives to enhance their personal relationships and their professional relationships. So the work is always based on how do I get these children to improve their ability to communicate, which entails listening to others, being self-aware, building confidence in their expression, being able to physically understand what physical gesture means, facial expression. So we do a lot of different games and exercises and improvisations, and teaching the children how to interpret the physical movements of other people, to be aware. Why is this important today? It's more important today than it ever was. When I first started this work in the 1970s, I first started working with children, but I became more serious in the early 1980s because I saw the advent of the digital age and what it was going to do to children. I spoke last night about how I came upon a group of children and they were all looking at a Game Boy and they were mesmerized. And that kind of worried me. I found that very strange. I found it odd. It was out of context of what I normally see children doing in a park or a playground. So I wrote a short play called Stefan the Pip and the Stolen Star. And basically it addresses the issue of what too much technology used in the wrong way will result in for children. A lot of negative effects. And I'm sure you all are struggling with those issues. Now, for this production, if you notice in the beginning of the film, the video, the children were very reticent, very shy. Most Chinese children are very reserved as opposed to American children for obvious reasons. And so throughout the process, you saw as we went on how animated they became, how their individual personalities became to emerge, their real personalities. So that's what the work is all about. If anyone has any questions or comments, please ask me. I'm going to just continue talking about my book. The book was published as a work of literature as opposed to a set of plays that are performance-oriented. Now, you can perform these plays. I have a question from Lena Elliott. Do you also teach method acting early on to children? Very good question. The work I was trained in was a form of method acting, but I worked with the early Jerzy Grotowski work from the Polish Laboratory Theater in Warsaw, and that was an advance on the method technique. So my technique is pretty. It's a verisimilitude. My technique is based on, yes, part of it incorporates method acting. Part of it incorporates the physical emotional content that's inherent in the Jerzy Grotowski work. My work entails psychology, work in psychology. The children actually learn a lot about psychology of emotion and brain function. Much of my work with children is also based on brain function studies. So I put all that stuff together to get the best communication skills process for my children. Now, I also have worked for many, many years with children on the autism spectrum and many other special needs children. And I incorporate programs, and these plays were performed by children who are typically developing in conjunction with children who are on the spectrum and other children with special needs, all combined into one production. And how did that work out? That worked out great. That worked out really great. It was just a little bit of adjustment in how I approached the work, and the kids all got along. They all learned about each other. They worked with each other, and they all, to a person, developed better communication skills. One of my favorite stories is a young boy named Raymond who came to me when he was nine years old, and he was very physically inhibited and stiff. A lot of it was the stress of the autism and The physical. I know you're probably all aware of how children can become rigid in many ways because of the stress and tension they're dealing with. And over the years, he worked with all the work we did physically. We incorporate yoga techniques, martial art techniques, dance, movement, classical acting techniques, physical techniques, and that loosened. Now Raymond is a producer in his own right and produces show after show after show, year after year after year, and he's probably in his mid-20s by now. So if you have any questions or comments, here's a question from Betty. Your book is so friendly for children with dreams of becoming performing artists. Yes, if children have a dream of becoming a performing artist, that's great. Many children do. However, I do not encourage children to become performing artists. I encourage them to learn communication skills and use these plays to become great communicators. And do I encourage them to become performing artists if that's really what they want to do? Definitely. I don't say don't become a performing artist. My point though is that in order to become a great performing artist, you have to know how to communicate physical, emotional, and intellectual content to your audience in a very clear, direct way, so they're never misunderstanding what you're trying to say to them. The greatest actors have this ability. The greatest dancers have this ability. Some of my actors have gone on to become professionals in the film world, filmmakers and playwrights. And I had a couple come with me to China with another team that we took, and they performed as adults, as young adults, in musicals and plays. Anybody have any comments about the, okay, here's another one from Kathleen W. Howell. How do you balance your life as an actor and a playwright author? Good question. People always ask me, this is one of my favorite questions, how do you find the time to do all this stuff? And I'm like, well, what I used to tell my children who wanted to be in the field, I have one child, my youngest is a professional actor. I said, you can work for 8 hours a day, you can do your craft for 8 hours a day, and you can sleep for 8 hours a day. That's your decision. Whatever you do with if you have to go to work and make a job, you still have 16 hours a day left to do with what you wish. So I balance my work by managing my time properly. I'm always got several projects in the works. And basically it's a form of discipline, self-discipline, and just peeling away anything that doesn't add to my life or my career or my relationships with my family. I don't spend time on that for the most part. I'm an avid football fan, but I don't watch 10 games a week. I watch 2 or 3 games a week. I play guitar. I don't play all the time. I play when I can. I write plays when I can. Right now I'm working on another new musical. I'm not going to tell you about that yet. So it's a matter of balancing your time and your schedule and eliminating what is not going to contribute to that. Do I have fun? Of course. I love dancing. I dance every week, every weekend. I go dancing. So that's part of the work, though. Enjoying yourself and having a fulfilling life is part of your work as an artist. Alani Jacinth, I hope that's the right pronunciation. I've developed my confidence through performing arts too. Oh, I missed the stage. You can always go back to the stage, which is what I want to talk about next. You can always go back to the stage. There are many community theaters in America that I wish were community children's theaters. So here's another point I wanted to make about this film, this video you just saw. The community theater in America, and I believe this, and I've said this before, and I've mentioned this in many of my presentations over the years, the community theater in America is the backbone of the American theater. A lot of people say, oh, community theater, I don't want to do community theater. Community theater is where many, or if not the majority of young actors get their first try at being on a stage, and learning how to communicate, learning how to act, dance, sing, play music, develop relationships with other people who share the same likes and dislikes. So I always advocate for that. What I want to talk about this in the video is that program you saw me develop in China, every single elementary school, every high school, every preschool has numerous programs like this for their children. It's kind of disheartening to say that in America we don't do that. What's the first thing we took out of the schools in America? Communication skills, acting, dance, music. They're filling these programs with things that I don't think really are important for children to learn. I used to put on the board when I did presentations for parents and other professionals in the field of psychology and theater and legal presentations for people who advocate for children with special needs and on the autism spectrum. I used to draw 5 things on the board. I used to draw English, the word English, history, science, communication skills, and math. And I would say to the audience in the beginning of my presentation, which one of these items, these 5 items, do you feel would be the most important thing for a child to have in their classroom experience for them to become professional and excellent personal communicators? And they always chose communication skills. So my next question was befuddling to them because it would, well, then why don't we have formal communication skills programs in every classroom? Why are we wasting our time with things that they don't need right now? If they learn how to communicate, they'll become self-learners. That may sound radical, but it's not. Many people are adapting these ideas now. I was successful in getting a few formal programs into some schools in Pennsylvania, but they did not last long because of various reasons. People just didn't agree with this process. But in China, that program you saw on that video is all over the place. So we need to do more of that in the American school system. We need to, for instance, I know that there's a company in Boston, they teach math through dance. No reason why we can't. They teach history through dance and acting. My plays will teach children history, mythology, cultures of other countries, vocal production, how to carry yourself, how to treat other people. One of the most important things I teach is how do we treat other people that we are working with, either professionally or we having personal relationships with, our family members, acquaintances. How do we deal with them on a daily basis, moment to moment? They learn that by working on these plays. And that's a big emphasis in my work. If you have any other questions, I'm happy. Okay, here's one from Barbara D. Brunette. I checked Amazon. I love that some plays in the book are musicals. Yes. Can't wait to introduce it to my kids. So thank you very much. So the show you just saw on the video, I made an adaptation of Snow White, and I made it into a musical. It's got a couple of beautiful songs in it that I just fell in love with. I don't know why, but they're beautiful. And I changed a lot of the elements of the play for Chinese people because you can't say 7 dwarfs because 7 is an unlucky number in China. So I decided to go with 8 pandas. And the plum blossoms are a very special cultural flower for Chinese. And there's that all the way through this musical. And every single child in that play gets to sing, dance, and speak. Now that play has 50 children in it, but it can be cut down to 30 children or 25 if the director can't handle that many. A young director or inexperienced director can still do any of these plays. I have one show, a musical in the book. It's called Stefan, the Pip and the Stolen Star, which started out as a 20-minute play in 1982. After I experienced that incident with the Game Boy and all the kids crowding around it in 1982. I wrote that play. That's turned into an hour and 45-minute musical, full music, dance, everything. It's a great piece. And it addresses the issue of media for children. So I'm going to go into a couple more things here before I end this. When I work with children on the autism spectrum, or even typically developing children, parents call me and they want to sign up for their classes. And I want to know a little bit about your child. So I spend 10 or 15 or 20 minutes talking to them about the child. So when they introduce me to the child, I have some idea. And one of the first questions I ask is, how many hours a week does your child spend in front of a screen? And by screen, I mean cell phone, computer, television, Game Boy, anything like that. And what surprised me early on, and I started doing this in the 90s, what surprised me early on was how little the parents knew about how much time the kids were actually using these screens. So I would start out with, okay, well, don't tell me how many, let's break it down. How many hours did they use today? Well, they were on their phone for probably 40 minutes. They were on their, okay, so they have homework on the computer. All right, so a couple hours on the computer with the school, a couple hours in school, and a couple hours of TV. So you got 2, 4, 6, you got 8 hours or 9 hours just in one day. You multiply that by 7. Your child now has a 45 or 40 hour a week job in front of a screen. That's going to change the brain function. And I'd like to talk further on this, but we're going to have to close out soon. But the brain function that occurs while children are using screens, like for instance, let me just say this. In the last 30 minutes, everyone who's watched this presentation, the video, me talking, or interacted, all of our brains have changed in that amount of time. Everything you do changes your brain. Your brain is now considered like a rainforest and constantly evolving, constantly changing. If you look out the window at the trees, your brain's changing. We have to keep that in mind when we're talking about children using screens and the amount of time they spend in the cyber world. But in any case, if you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me through my email or through this site. There's information posted somewhere to get in touch with me, and I will be very happy to discuss this kind of work with you. My next book is going to be talking about what I do while I'm working with children with the plays. These are 30 plays out of many more that I have. These are the ones I thought would be the most effective as a first edition. So I have a few more minutes, so I think I'm going to continue with this. If you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to ask them. So I'd like to address again how I work with children who are developing typically and put them together with children on the spectrum. I have a question from Deanna P. Schmitz. What is your writing process when creating 30 plays? Does each play have a unique process of writing? Actually, yes, that's a good point. So the question is, these 30 plays were developed starting in 1980, 1979, 1980. And as I performed them over the years, my 5-minute play would turn into a half-hour show after 10 or 12 productions. I still have 2-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute plays geared towards children between the ages of 4 and 6, 4 and 8, because I want them to perform better in a shorter piece. But the writing process varies. Many times I'll spend weeks thinking about an idea, and it's all up here. And I can sit down and write that play out in 2 hours, the first draft anyway. And then I develop it. But here's the most important part. When I perform these plays and I start rehearsal process, the play is still being worked on. And a lot of the work comes from the child actors. The children will say, Mr. Ruggiero, can we change this line to this line? I'm like, sure, why not? Try it. And many times they are helping me rewrite the script. Or, boy, I wish this was longer. Can we do this? Yeah, let's add another scene. Okay. So the writing process is not complicated, but it's varied. a lot of children have been instrumental in developing these plays with me. So I hope that answers your question. I have another question from Anita R. Harrison. Do you also put yourself in the character's shoes when writing them in your plays for children? Yes. Part of the fun of writing a play and these kind of characters, yes, I put myself into them because I'm an actor and I'm a child always. You never lose the inner child. So yes, I do put myself in them. And it's a lot of fun. So what I do with my children, we used to sit around and I would give everyone a script and we'd read the plays out loud and act them out. You can do that on a game night with your kids. Get them away from the TV, get them away from the computer. Say, hey, look, let's play this game. Let's read a script. And my plays are mythology, fantasy, mythology, history, fairy tales, original works, religious stories. So, yes, I do put myself in the character's shoes and their mentality. And it's great fun. It's great fun. And when we read the plays, I often take apart myself in the beginning during the rehearsal process to give the kids a little help. So, nevertheless, any other questions or comments? I really appreciate you folks coming. And I will be back on Friday evening. Okay, Deanna P. Schmitz asks me, do you also have plans on writing a book of monologues for theater audition seekers in the future? No, I do not have plans on writing monologues. No reason. I don't have a reason why not. A book of monologues, if people want to take, I don't have a lot of monologues in my plays because they're child actors. My longer plays have a couple of monologues, but they're not being published right now. But for children, I keep the lines short and sweet, a lot of repetitive lines so they can memorize. A lot of lines, like each character will speak in order. Like if there's a cat, a dog, and a horse, when they say their lines, it's always the cat talks, the dog talks, the horse talks. And it goes throughout the play like that. So it gives them a better ability to memorize when they're going to speak. So I do all kinds of things to help children memorize their lines. And the order in which the lines are written is very, very important. But no, I don't plan on doing any monologues at this point. Any other questions or comments? So my next live stream session will be Friday at 7 p.m. And I'm going to show this video again and talk about it again. And if you have any other questions about my work, I'm going to go further into a few more details about what actually occurs in the first rehearsal, okay, and the second rehearsal for these children, and how interesting that is when I hand out the scripts and they get to read their plays. They read the play. I don't cast ahead of time. They basically cast themselves in a lot of ways. So thank you very much for attending, and I hope to see you all again. I appreciate all your input and your questions. Have a very good night.